how you survived your childhood, the patterns you've had in your relationships, your experiences, the things that are still traumatic to you, and a number of things that you probably haven't moved on to is affecting your relationship. And while I thought for us to talk about attachment styles today, I also think it's important to emphasize on data collection as an individual, because if you want to build healthier relationships, you want to look at your past, your present, particularly the past. Now, it's not just because you want to dwell there or you want to give an analysis of the things you've done rightly or wrongly, but it's a putting together of information that makes you self-aware. And this is why I think we need to start preaching attachment styles as heavily as we're supposed to. There are a number of videos here on YouTube that talks about attachment styles. So are you an anxious attached person? Are you an avoidant, fearful avoidant, or just an avoidant? Or are you a securely attached person? I was having a conversation with one of my girls and I was so happy about the progress that she is making. And I literally told her thumbs up. I was giving her a round of applause, literally, because for an anxiously attached person, I know how difficult it is to self-soothe, or how difficult it is to tell yourself, I don't want to think about this. I want to be in control of whatever my thought is saying. I want to calm this anxiety. Now, attachment styles are just how you coped growing up. It could be how you coped growing up. It could be the experiences that you have had, patterns in your relationships that influence the decisions and the kind of person that you are. So you just naturally respond in a way that is convenient for your mind and your body. So your body, your mind does a lot, obviously, when it comes to relating with the other person. And we just may think that when you're relating to someone that you love, it could be different. It's no way different. In fact, there's a heightening, or there's an exposure that relationships bring to character. So it means that when you have an opportunity to express yourself in relationships, it becomes intense. I was doing a research and I realized that relationships could begin on very great notes. I mean, those early stage, the talking stages, the first 2-3 weeks of dating the person, you're already loving everything about the person. But a lot of issues begin to come up when responsibility is brought to the table, and that's when love truly is tested. Because when you're in a love relationship, it's not just about the very good days, it's also about the difficult moments, and those difficult moments ask for responsibility, they ask for questioning, they ask that demand for responsibility is what makes a lot of people maybe just retract their emotions, or they're anxious. Because I can clearly remember being in a relationship where it started all smoothly, it was so good and wonderful, but when the relationship began to demand responsibility, I saw a lot of frailties begin to show up. And data collection for attachment styles is important, because you need to come to the point as a woman where you know exactly who you are. I know we talk a lot about who are you, and every time we talk about that, we want to highlight facets of knowing yourself. And that facet that we are analyzing today as connected to data collection is your attachment style. How did you cope growing up? What was your first response to love? What was your first exposure to love? How did you understand love? Did you understand love or see love as something that comes and goes? Did you see connection as one that you can never anticipate, or I mean, it just comes whenever it comes? So for an anxiously attached person, you learned that growing up, that love is not stable, that love could abandon you, that love could, just not be there all the time when you want it. So you learn to anticipate love and just hope for the best. You could be in situations, you could have experienced situations where you were so anxious about your parents getting back together, or are they going to separate, or the relationship that they had wasn't stable, your father was not available. Now, in a lot of cases, we have situations where the father was not available, absent dad, or the mother was not available. I mean, one of the parents were not available. And the thing with anxious anxiety is that it keeps you in that space where you're wondering what's next, what's the next thing that would happen, and it's usually danger that your mind builds this to a point where you sort of get used to it. That is a very focal or foundational point to anxious attachment. Although terribly, some people who are anxiously attached or who experience abandonment as children start growing up and they see that pattern in their lives. So they have relationships where maybe the person just is not, the person starts dating them and then there's a betrayal, the person just leaves, and that can sort of magnify your exposure to anxiety. Therefore, an avoidant, I mean, you could have experienced emotions in very subtle ways, so you learn that emotions are not always stable. So maybe your father or your mother could have shown emotions less and showed it when they thought you deserved it. Now, I watch a lot of videos because we see what people show us, or I see parents who are emotionally available, and I am so glad for those kids. I am so grateful to those parents because I am very particular about parenting, and I say that the impact that your emotions have to play in your life, in the life of your child, is very important. So that child who's an avoidant learns that, oh, emotions are not always there. I mean, it could come and go, and sometimes children who grew up and became avoidant also experience their emotions shut. So a child is not allowed to express themselves. And there's something I discovered. Yes, they called it the scattered attachment style. I mean, and a disorganized attachment style. So it means that one can be an anxiously attached person and also an avoidant. It can overlap, especially you have the anxious attachment overlapping the avoidant attachment, and it's a crazy place to be. So you experience abandonment as a child. You also experience a low show of emotional presence or some sort of off and on emotional presence, and that could be the disorganized attachment style. And so there is the secure attachment style, and this is where everyone should work towards being, especially as a woman. This is a woman channel, so I'm going to be talking a lot about women. As a woman, you need to work towards getting securely attached. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Is it hard work? I tell you, it is hard work. It's hard work. It's consistent work. It's understanding, and that's where the data collection comes. It's understanding what exactly the problem is and why you act the way that you act. Why do I exactly do these things? What are some of those things? Why do I get into a relationship if you're anxiously attached and you're just always thinking that the person is going to leave you? Why? And then you're asking questions a number of times. You want to be reassured. Do you still love me? Do you still love me? Then you always are scared of conflict most times, because when conflict appears, it makes you feel like, oh, this is the end of the relationship. Now, while this is not a terrible, oh, you must be a terrible person. No, it's just how people learn to cope. It's a coping mechanism. And the interesting thing about anxiously attached people is that they love deeply. I only found out that anxiously attached people are almost always attracted to avoidance. But here's what I was able to decipher: that if you are an anxiously attached person and you meet an avoidant, I just think that it will be training for you. That is, if you understand that you're anxiously attached. And this video is to bring you to awareness to the fact that you fear abandonment, you fear rejection, so you need to be aware of it. How do you look out for the signs? If you're an anxiously attached person, you fear abandonment, that your partner is going to leave you. You think that maybe, am I really good enough for my partner? Because if you fear that your partner is going to leave you, so it means there could be, those touches and those elements of, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Even when you know that you're good enough, even when you know you're an amazing person, but just those thoughts just never leaves. Then you're always looking for reassurances, or you want your partner to keep reassuring you. And that's sort of a difficult place to be if you're dating an avoidant who thinks my emotions can show up today and not show up tomorrow. And these things people do not really literally have control over them. They just show up this way, and it affects their relationships. Then for an avoidant, and I was able to pick out a number of things. An avoidant can show emotions today and show less tomorrow. An avoidant also needs reassurance, but the difference between an avoidant needing reassurances and an anxiously attached person needing reassurances is that the anxiously attached person would ask you all the time, ask you like word of mouth, ask you, do you still love me? But you see an avoidant demand it with their actions, ask questions. And most times, Avoidance fear betrayal, and it's worse if they have been in situations where they have been betrayed. It can get worse. Their trust becomes an issue. They can hardly trust people. They can hardly believe that people would not betray them, and that's why we see avoidance ghost you. And avoidance can just ghost you, decide not to talk to you for 2 days, 3 days. Because for them, that's like how they self-soothe. They just go back. Oh, you're pressuring me with too much love. You can come with heaviness in terms of show of emotions, because obviously an anxiously attached person is always in front of you, always wants to talk to you, always wants to ensure that you take their calls. Oh, I don't want you to miss my calls. Why did he miss my calls? Why hasn't he taken my calls? What's the problem? Is everything okay? Or an anxiously attached can call you like a million times. Oh God, that's such an exaggeration. 10 times. But an avoidance is like, oh, why is this person calling me like this? Goodness, can I just breathe? So most times the emotional capacity that an avoidance brings might not match the energy that an anxiously attached person brings. So data collection is important. So you probably want to look at the patterns of your relationship and ask yourself, am I securely attached? Am I an avoidant? Fearful avoidant? Am I securely attached? Am I anxiously attached? When you ask yourself these questions, it's important for you. So when you meet someone and you start dating, you start talking to the person, you start building something tangible, you also can understand that, okay, I've got to the point where I need to tell this person these things about me, if you think that you should. But if you're actively working on it and you see that you're making a lot of progress, maybe you want to save that information, because I have come to understand that not everybody can handle the information that you give them. So you need to be sure that the person who you give a certain information about your life can handle it. But most importantly, data collection is important. And how do you collate these data? Is introspection. Now, if you've been in a number of relationships and you've seen a similar pattern play in those relationships, you want to ask yourself, why do I have same reaction from the men that I have been dating? Is there something I'm not doing rightly? Okay, because I was talking to a young lady and she was talking to me how she was able to just stay calm. Why her anxiety was telling her, you need to call him. Why hasn't he called you all through the day? Why hasn't he picked your call? Why hasn't he said that he loves you? And she said, I was able to just sleep. When I told him I loved him and he said, I love you too, and I asked him why he didn't say it first, he was like, what's now? And he dropped the call. She said she put herself together and ensured that she did not call him back. And I said, wow, that's good. That's great work. But that apart, we were talking, and at some point she said, well, I'm exhausted, I want to go have my bath. And I said, it's so easy to tell me that you want to go have your bath, but do you say the same thing to the person you're dating? Because sometimes an anxiously attached person may appear as performative. This is not fakeness. It's just that an anxiously attached person is always on alert, and they just always want to show up to ensure that nothing goes wrong, because their mind is always almost telling them that something is going to go wrong. And the moment you want to control, remember that a lot of things are beyond human control. And the moment you want to control every trajectory or everything about your love life, then it may look performative. In fact, you may look unreal, because how do you stay on a call talking to your partner for 1 hour, 2 hours, and you feel like going to have your bath, but you're not going to say it because, oh, you just want to stay there for long. You don't want the person to feel a certain way. So you may appear as a people pleaser or someone who just wants to be in that person's good books. And that's so unnatural, because the unnatural nature of it over time heaps up to make you look like you're performative, meanwhile you're not. So how do you collate these data? Introspection. Look at the pattern of your relationships. How have my relationships been over the years? Do I see similar trends? And do these trends look like, my partner coming up to tell me, you know what, I am tired. Are you okay? Why do you sound insecure? Why do you want to know everything about me? Why do you always want me to tell you that I love you? Why do you always want me to reassure you when you know that this person truly and really cares about you? Now, anxious attachment is not attachment styles, especially for avoidance and anxious attachment, is not anything to crucify people about. It's just how people learn to cope coping mechanisms to relationships. Think about a young woman who lost her father very early, or whose father was an absent dad, or whose parents were not together. So she grows up with a perspective of what love is. And sometimes this thing can be so deep that you don't realize the harm that it's caused you as a human being. So you begin to survive and not live, especially with love relationships. And data collection to know your attachment style is important. I'm going to share some tips with you. You can go to ChatGPT or Google and say, I want to check my attachment style, and check. It would ask you several questions. Answer the questions carefully. When you answer those questions, you understand exactly what your attachment style is, and you want to begin working on it to be securely attached. The road to secure attachment is not easy, but it's a journey that you can begin and get to and understand who you are. You want to show up for the people that you love truly, right? And if you're a man who's watching this, I want you to understand that if a woman has shown a lot of anxiety, it's not for you to judge her or criticize her. Or if you're a woman watching this, if a man has shown a lot of anxiety, it's not for you to criticize or judge. What is love if you cannot help? But the point is, sometimes people who want to help don't even have the capacity to, or may not be in the position to help, or do not have enough information. You know, the Bible talks about knowledge, about talking to the man to deal with the woman with knowledge. And if you're dealing with someone with knowledge, it means you are knowledgeable to yourself. So knowledge is important for successful relationships. And if you want to ensure that you have a successful relationship with yourself and another person, you just got out of a relationship, or you're on a break space or whatever, or you're just tired of relationships, you need to start to collect data of your life and understand yourself. This will not just help you date rightly, it will also help you choose rightly. Now, attachment styles are no curses. They are just how you were able to cope as a child and through the experiences that you have had, and they sort of affect your relationship with other people. I hope this video helped. Now, tell me what you were able to find that is your attachment style, and tell me the steps that you're putting towards becoming securely attached. Those steps are important. There's a lady I watch on Instagram, and she's an anxiously attached person, and her husband is an avoidant, and she shares tips on how they're able to navigate their everyday relationship. And this is coming from a place of awareness, because if you know exactly how to work on it. But if you just stumble, you just let things stumble on you, you don't even know about them, you're confused, you're asking questions, you feel frustrated because it's not working, it becomes a difficult place for you to be, because you don't even know anything about it. Right, so this video is highly to educate you about your attachment style, so you can find out about it and know how you truly show up for the people that you love. Healing is important, and I think that you need to heal. You need to heal. You need to get to the point where you feel better as a person, and then you want to love again, or you want to love that person that you truly love. If you already know your attachment style, tell me in the comment section, when did you find out? Has it ever affected any relationship that you have had or not? Did you get your partner label you with so much before you found out about your attachment style? Or do you think you're securely attached? I mean, I like securely attached people, and it's a good thing. You must have had a very good upbringing, or you have worked on yourself so much to understand that you give yourself a lot of love. And yeah, so well done. But tell me in the comment section if you know what your attachment style is. Tell me if you're going to find out, and also tell me if your attachment style has ever affected your relationship or relationships, and I want to know about that. And let's also get you to working towards being securely attached, so you can bask in love, you can enjoy love, because love is a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for watching. Now subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so you can get alerts when I put out a video. I talk about communication, love, and relationships. Sometimes I share real life experiences that helps you understand that you are a work in God's hand, and He's so interested in making you a better person. And that's it for today. Take care of yourself, and bye.